I'm Anita and this is Nightline. News making the headlines. NIMP 2030 to increase manufacturing's value-added amount by 6.5% to 587.5 billion ringgit. And Singapore's presidential election. Sample count puts Tharman Shanmugaratnam in the lead. Our headlining story. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim on Friday unveiled the country's new Industrial Master Plan 2030 or NIMP 2030. The master plan aims to increase the manufacturing sector's value-added activities by 6.5% to 587.5 billion ringgit by 2030, derived from the master plan's interventions for high-impact sectors.
This indicates an increase of 61%. Derived from NIMP 2030, interventions for high-impact sectors, E&E, chemical, EV, aerospace, pharmaceutical, and advanced materials such as minerals and metal.
Anwar added that the implementation would result in a growth of 2.3% from this year onward, providing livelihood for 3.3 million people by 2030. The median salary in the manufacturing sector is also expected to grow by 9.6%, reaching 4,510 ringgit from 1,976 ringgit. NIMP 2030 requires an estimated total investment of 95 billion ringgit through its 7 years. This will predominantly be from the private sector, mobilised from private equity, as well as capital and financial markets. On another matter, Datuk Seri Anwar wants the annual Auditor General's or AG's report to be debated in Parliament and the accompanying recommendations to be given due attention. The Prime Minister said he had instructed his ministers, their Secretaries General and Directors General to study the report and provide satisfactory response or actions to its findings.
Saya akan pastikan ia dibahaskan. Kalau ada kelemahan, kita baiki. Kalau ada pelanggaran, kita betulkan. Kalau ada betul-betul suatu penyalahgunaan kuasa, kita pastikan ambil tindakan.
Anwar added that although the criticism contained in the AG's report is directed to the unity government, it has to be acted upon, as issues involving governance or conduct should not be taken lightly. In the meantime, he also stated that the National Audit Department's scope of powers will no longer be in the context of mere auditing, but will instead be expanded to cover an ombudsman framework. However, he said this is still at a discussion stage.
Maknanya, apa yang dilakukan sekarang diperkukuh dan mungkin kita perkenalkan beberapa kaedah baru, perkuatkan. Minta Salahuddin akan peringatkan saya supaya kita perkenalkan, supaya jelas dan kita bawa ke Jemaah Menteri. Jadi tak perlu lagi nak ada ombudsman, institusi hizbah. Kita rangkul semuanya ke tugas saudara-saudari.
In the meantime, Solicitor General Dato' Ahmad Tahriruddin Muhammad Saleh has been appointed as the new Attorney General effective September 6th, replacing Tan Sri Idrus Harun, whose appointment on contract ends on September 5th. According to a statement from the Chief Secretary's office on Friday, the appointment had received the consent of Yang di-Pertuan Agong in line with the Federal Constitution. The statement also said that the government is grateful to Idrus for his service to the country during his tenure as Attorney General. Malaysia's 66th National Day celebrations that were successfully organised at Dataran Putrajaya on Thursday received high praises from the Yang di-Pertuan Agong, Al-Sultan Abdullah Riayatuddin Al-Mustafa Billah Shah. Controller of the Royal Household of Istana Negara, Major General Datuk Zahari Muhammad Arifin, conveyed the King's delight and admiration for the involvement of government departments, agencies and the private sector in the celebrations. Zahari said the 2023 National Day marked a significant moment for Al-Sultan Abdullah and Raja Permaisuri Agong, Tunku Azizah Aminah Maimunah Iskandariyah, as it was their final celebration as King and Queen. Al-Sultan Abdullah also expressed his gratitude to the diverse attendees and their support for the historic event, emphasising the patriotism and unity displayed during the National Day celebrations nationwide. The king also expressed condolences to the family of Muhammad Noh Muhammad Isa, a 53-year-old Rela personnel who tragically passed away while participating in the march past during the Negeri Sembilan state-level 66th National Day celebrations at Dataran Majlis Bandaraya Seremban. On another matter, the Yang di-Pertuan Agong and Raja Permaisuri Agong Tunku Azizah Aminah Maimunah have wished TV3 newscaster Raymond Goh a speedy recovery. Goh, whose Muslim name is Muhammad Zaman Goh, is currently in critical condition after suffering a stroke and is currently receiving treatment at a hospital in Betaling Jaya, Selangor. In a social media post from Istana Negara on Friday, the royal couple expressed hope that the English newscaster recovers soon. Goh began his career as a newscaster at the 7 o'clock news before anchoring TV3's business bulletin, BizWorld, and this half-hour English news bulletin, Nightline. With 30 years of experience in the broadcast industry, Goh is known as the man with the golden voice. He also trains and coaches individuals on how to speak well. Meanwhile, Goh's family on Friday expressed their heartfelt gratitude to Al Sultan Abdullah and Raja Permaisuri Agong for the royal couple's concern regarding Goh's well-being. They also thanked all fellow Malaysians for their prayers for Goh's speedy recovery. In a statement, his family and wife, Faridate, said, at present, Goh's condition is critical and hope that the family would be given some respect and privacy as they overcome these difficult times. She added that the family understands that Goh's well-being has been of concern for many and deeply appreciate the outpouring of love and support. They said the family also understands that in his journey, Goh has touched many hearts and any support and thoughts and prayers are deeply appreciated. The family, she said, will provide relevant updates about his condition as and when possible.
So the ministry will also hold discussions. Thai's three prime ministerial candidates, Srettha Thavisin, suggested on Thursday that pulling out of the eight-party coalition, 4.3 million ringgit in three separate raids in Kluang, Johor.
Strengthening the middle class and empowering small and medium-sized enterprises, SMEs, will be the key focus in preparing the 2024 budget. Deputy Finance Minister Stephen Sim Chi Keong said strengthening the middle class was also the focus in the 2023 budget. Sim said strengthening the middle class is among the main things in the 2024 budget, as the group was most affected during the pandemic. Hence, one of the key focuses in the coming budget is on empowering the group to reduce their burden due to the rise of cost of living. Sim added that the second focus was empowering SMEs, as they are the income generators, to create employment opportunities for the people. In the ministry's focus to reduce the burden of cost of living, it will not only look into reducing the cost of items, but increasing the income of businesses as well. The Deputy Minister pointed out that one of the strategies of the Madani government is to place domestic direct investment, DDI, as the key performance indicator, or KPI, in investments. This as there were many complaints from local entrepreneurs who felt they were treated as second class compared with foreign direct investment, FDI. Padi Beras Nasional Berhad, or Bernas, announced a 36% hike in prices for imported white rice from 2,350 ringgit per metric ton to 3,200 ringgit. Currently, the price of imported rice in the country remains one of the lowest in Southeast Asia. Bernas said that climate change, weakening foreign exchange rates, high operational costs and regional conflicts have collectively triggered a significant impact on the global rice trading market. It was further compounded by the effect of India's recent ban on exporting white rice. The company has been absorbing the impact of the increase in imported rice prices over the last few years. However, weighing current conditions, the price adjustment is inevitable and critical at this point in time. The company added that it will adjust prices accordingly once the situation has normalized.
This week on Money Matters, we'll talk about the return of tourists to Malaysia. Can the nation expect a full recovery by the end of 2023? What efforts can be taken to build back the sector in the post-COVID era? Join us with Mitra President Nigel Wong Choon Tiem this Saturday at 5 p.m. on TV3 and live HD stream on Tonton.
Welcome back. The preliminary report of the fatal air crash near Bandar Elmina in Shah Alam, Selangor 2 weeks ago is expected to be released in the second week of this month. Transport Minister Anthony Loke said the 30-minute audio of the cockpit voice recorder, CVR, was still being analysed by the Ministry's Air Accident Investigation Bureau, AAIB, after the data was transmitted from the United States on Monday.
Data itu masih dianalisa. Seperti yang saya telah janjikan, laporan awal akan dikemukakan 30 hari selepas insiden. Maka saya mencangkakan laporan awal akan dapat kita keluarkan pada minggu kedua bulan September.
He expressed hope that the report will be obtained by Malaysia Day on September 16th, as the deadline had been set for September 17th. Last Tuesday, Loke said the manufacturer had successfully retrieved the data from the CVR, adding that the voice recordings are in good shape for analysis. The AAIB had previously faced difficulties in retrieving data from the charred CVR, although the memory puck was still intact. The AAIB team had gone to Florida in the US to enlist the help of its National Transportation Safety Board on the CVR. However, its members are currently stuck there due to a hurricane. Loke said they will return to Malaysia to continue investigations once the skies are clear. The Malaysian Indians Transformation Unit, Mitra, is still open to receiving applications for the one-time 2,000 ringgit university fee subsidy until September 15th. According to Special Task Force Committee Chairman Dato' R. Ramanan, the assistance is aimed at helping 10,000 students in the second, third and final years of bachelor degrees for both public and private institutions of higher learning, IHL.
Kita akan buat kepastian bahawa sama ada mereka B40 ke tidak. So kita ada langkah-langkah kita yang kita ambil untuk memastikan jalan dengan teratur, betul dan tidak ada apa-apa kesalahan yang berlaku.
At the media conference on the status of the subsidy under Mitra, Ramanan said 8,583 applications have been received as at August 31st since it was opened in May, and a proportion of them have been processed and credited into the students' Bank Simpanan Nasional BSN accounts. Updating on Mitra's dialysis subsidy that is targeting 900 chronic kidney patients. He said the unit has received 749 applications from 135 dialysis centres and 813 individuals as at the deadline on August 30th. Mitra's dialysis subsidy involves an allocation of 8.64 million ringgit at a subsidy of 200 ringgit per session. Businesses across the country seem to always complain whenever an impromptu public holiday is declared. FMT's Samuel Chua dives into the implications of these unexpected and unplanned breaks from work.
Adhoc holidays have always delighted Malaysians, but not so much their employers. This is because they inevitably result in additional costs to businesses. Economist Carmelo Frelito of the Centre for Market Education said the last-minute announcement of a holiday more often than not hurts businesses.
This can indeed disrupt the regular activity of a company, the focus of an employee, the pace of a certain project.
The issue came to light again after the caretaker governments of Selangor, Kedah, Negeri Sembilan, Kelantan and Terengganu announced a public holiday in their respective states, immediately following the recent state elections on August 12th. Unplanned extra public holidays have always been frequently declared in conjunction with festivities and to honour sporting achievements, both at state and national levels. In many cases, they are announced to create a long weekend. For instance, if a festival falls on a Tuesday, an unplanned holiday may be announced for a Monday. SME Association of Malaysia's Secretary-General Chin Chi Seong said businesses lose an estimated 2 billion ringgit to 3 billion ringgit whenever a public holiday is suddenly announced.
The major loss will be the manufacturing, the logistics, the transportation, or even the agriculture sector. Our productivity is much worse compared to many other countries who have less holiday. I think as a whole, we lose out in between 5 to 10%.
A loss of working days may also result in SMEs failing to meet deadlines and may result in suppliers facing penalties and incurring additional costs, including overtime payments. To make matters worse, Shin said these additional holidays may impact the country's ability to attract foreign direct investments. He said Adhoc Holidays may erode the confidence of investors in the reliability of Malaysia's supply chain system.
We urge, the government should look into this seriously.
Samuel Chua, FMT for Nightline.
Up next, former Thai PM's prison sentence reduced to a year. News on the foreign front after this breather. Stay tuned. Department, ELD, at about 10:40 p.m. local time. Former GIC Chief Investment Officer Ng Kok Song is second with 16% of valid votes, followed by former NTUC Income Chief Tan Kin Lian with 14%. The ELD, however, said the sample counts only give an early indication of the election outcome, but the election result could be different. It is reported that counting is still underway and the public should wait for the announcement of the election result by the returning officer, which will be broadcast live on television. The counting of votes started after polling stations closed at 8 p.m. local time, with more than 2.7 million Singaporeans expected to have cast votes in the country's first contested presidential election since 2011. Thailand's king on Friday has commuted Thaksin Shinawatre's 8-year prison sentence to 1 year, a day after the former Prime Minister submitted a request for pardon. The partial pardon from King Maha Vajiralongkorn was confirmed by the official Royal Gazette, with the announcement pointing to Thaksin's service to the country as Prime Minister. The Royal Gazette said Thaksin respected the process, admitted his guilt, repented and accepted the court verdicts, adding that he has illness that needs care from medical professionals. Upon his arrival in Thailand from 15 years of self-imposed exile on August 22nd, the 74-year-old was transferred to prison to serve an 8-year sentence on charges of abuse of power and conflicts of interest during his time in power. However, he was transferred to a state hospital just 10 days after he was arrested due to chest pain and high blood pressure. The Asian financial hub of Hong Kong and China's neighbouring populous province of Guangdong cancelled hundreds of flights on Friday as fears of powerful Typhoon Saola forced some mainland cities to shut businesses, schools and financial markets. Chinese authorities warned that the typhoon, packing winds of more than 200 kilometres per hour, could make landfall late on Friday or early on Saturday in Guangdong. Authorities also suspended train services in Guangdong, while the cities of Shenzhen and Guangzhou have already shut schools. In the meantime, Hong Kong weather officials said the weather is expected to deteriorate rapidly as the typhoon makes landfall, with chances of storm surges of about 3 meters higher than the normal tide. All flights with Hong Kong have also been cancelled. Saola is one of 3 tropical cyclones to form in the northwest Pacific Ocean and South China Sea. Kennedy Cano star as flu puts Olympia to sword. Action from the Copa Libertadores when we come back. Stay tuned. Argentine striker Germán Cano scored twice as Brazil's Fluminense advanced to the semi-finals with a 3-1 away win over Paraguayan side Olympia. John Kennedy put the visitors ahead by running onto Quino's through ball and firing home in the 24th minute. But the hosts equalized just before halftime through Facundo Zabala, who finished coolly after combining with Ivan Torres. Cano then broke the deadlock with a close-range effort in the 80th minute before he put the results beyond doubt with a stoppage-time strike. The result gave Fluminense a 5-1 win on aggregate, setting up an all-Brazilian semi-final against Internacional. Turning to tennis, the 2023 US Open. Defending champion Carlos Alcaraz breezed into the third round after a straightforward win over Lloyd Harris. The Spaniard prevailed in a tough third set against the South African to seal a 6-3, 6-1, 7-6 win under the lights on Arthur Ashe Stadium. With his victory, the world #1 set up the next round meeting with Britain's Dan Evans. Also through to the next round was Daniil Medvedev. The third seed defeated Australian Christopher O'Connell 6-2, 6-2, 6-7, 6-2 to capture his 250th hard-court victory to reach the third round of the season's final major, where he was crowned champion in 2021. He will next face world #32, Argentina's Sebastian Baez. In another match, #8 seed Andrei Rublev ousted Gael Monfils to book a spot in the third round. The three-time US Open quarterfinalist put the pressure on Monfils from the opening ball, delivering a punishing baseline game that proved enough to stifle the Frenchman with a 6-4, 6-3, 3-6, 6-1 victory. The Russian will play another Frenchman after a Winberg bench in the next round. 3-6-1, 6-4, 6-3, 6-6. Still to come on Nightline, mum, boyfriend charged over son's murder. See you. We're back with the bulletin. In Selangor, a woman and her boyfriend were charged in the Petaling Jaya Magistrates Court on Friday with the murder of her 5-year-old son. 44-year-old Mary Teh Meyi and 29-year-old lorry driver S. Puvaneswaran nodded after the charge was read out to them, but no plea was recorded as the case is under jurisdiction of the High Court. The duo were jointly charged with murdering Teh Joseph at a house in Taman Puncak Jalil, Sri Kembangan at 12:55 a.m. on August 22nd. The charge, framed under the Penal Code for murder, provides the death sentence if found guilty. In the same court, Bhuvaneswaran was also charged with giving a false statement to police officers, to which he pleaded not guilty. The charge, framed under the Penal Code for providing false information, provides imprisonment for up to 6 months or a maximum fine of 2,000 ringgit or both if found guilty. Magistrate Shahril Anwar Ahmad Mustafa set October 2nd for mention of both cases. A 17-year-old teenager was hauled to the Teluk Intan Magistrates Court on a charge of murdering his friend in Bagan Datuk, Perak last month. The proceeding was conducted behind closed doors before Sessions Court Judge Nurul Farina Zainal Abidin, as the accused is underage. According to the charge, the teenager, who cannot be named for legal reasons due to his age, had killed 21-year-old P. Hariaran by the roadside at Jalan Pasir Kampung Payung Baroh, Seleko in Bagan Datuk between 6 p.m. and 8:30 p.m. on August 20th. The charge, framed under Section 302 of the Penal Code, carries a death sentence or imprisonment of up to 40 years, and if not sentenced to death, shall be punished with whipping of not less than 12 strokes upon conviction. The teenager, who is no longer in school, had been remanded for 7 days from the date of his arrest last Saturday. According to media reports, jealousy is believed to be the motive of the murder, as the victim was said to be bothering the accused 20-year-old girlfriend. The court set October 5th for mention, pending DNA and chemistry reports. In Negeri Sembilan, 2 women were sentenced to 12 months jail by the Seremban Magistrates Court after they pleaded guilty to cheating a man who was trying to adopt a child last July. Magistrate Nurul Sakinah Rosli handed down the sentence to 32-year-old G. Gayatri, a caretaker, and 30-year-old Aliyah Begum Selvam, a food delivery rider, and ordered them to serve their sentence from Friday. The duo was jointly charged with deceiving a 37-year-old man into believing that they could help him with the adoption by depositing 7,900 ringgit in 7 transactions into a bank account. Based on the facts of the case, the victim was told by Gayatri that a poor family was willing to give up their baby for adoption with an advance payment of 4,000 ringgit and was later requested to make several transactions totaling 7,900 ringgit. The offence, framed under Section 420 of the Penal Code, provides imprisonment for a term of not less than 1 year and not more than 10 years with whipping and a fine on conviction. To a close tonight, let's take a look as a rare blue supermoon dazzled stargazers around the world on Wednesday night. The supermoon is broadly defined as a full moon that's closer to the Earth than normal, which makes it appear slightly brighter and bigger in the sky. And before we leave, the Nightline team would once again like to request for our viewers to pray for our very own Raymond Goh, who is in critical condition after suffering a stroke. With that, I'm Anita. Thank you for watching and be well, Malaysia.